question is, what do we do?
Okay.
Right. So I've spent way too much time teaching myself about machine learning, neural networks, deep learning, writing code, right? Teaching myself Python, just because I want to get a hands-on experience in this, right?
Right.
So when we have a conversation, I may not be able to build all of it, but I can understand
it.
Yeah, I can understand it. And so when you talk about, we went through this transition where we started off with spreadsheets, it was what if. Right? So you have all these people here playing what if, and you postulate all these different variables, right? And you build models. And then you have different plugs, then you look at your models, you compare them to reality, right? But whatever fits on a spreadsheet, and if you get smarter people, they think of better variables, and then you have better probabilities based off of what they plug in when you play what if, right?
Yep.
That's the way you've been doing it since you started. That's the way I've been doing it since I started. What machine language does, it says, okay, we can take a lot more variables than you can ever think of.
Take all of them.
Right, we can take all of them and then say, if this happened, then there's this probability that this will happen. That's only the beginning, right? Then we start getting into something called generative artificial intelligence, where it starts to think, right? And for the most part now, not all the way through, you still have to label everything. Here's all my variables, right? But then when you give it to it and you say, based off of these variables that are labeled as such, here's an unlimited number of opportunities, right? And so based off of those, we're going to create biases and weights for them all and let you come up with some conclusion. Let it give you a variety of conclusions, and then you decide. Going forward, you won't have to label anything, right? But until then, if I wanted to do an analysis of who knows what, right? How to furnish buildings across the world the most cost effectively. And part of it was trying to label anything that can hold water, right? So it's easy to say that's a cup, but you're going to need somebody to say, okay, this is also a receptacle for water in some place that has nothing, right?
Yeah.
This can be a receptacle for water, right? Somebody standing with their mouth open. That requires image labeling and variable definition. Those are the types of jobs that are going to be available over the next 5-10 years that didn't exist before. Now, they're kind of like Amazon warehouse jobs. They're brutal, right? And it's not anything negative towards Amazon. It's just, it's going to be make good work.
Right.
And then we're also going to have our own Tennessee Valley Authority, right? Where they had make good public works. We're going to have make good jobs where we may use programs like AmeriCorps just to walk kids to school or just to read kids. We may have to tax robots, right? Whatever it may be, because...
You just say tax robots?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because there's going to be displacement. There's
Right.
going to be huge displacement. And as AI gets smarter, the delta is going to get greater until hopefully there'll be new jobs created that cross back over. But there's going to be this displacement period that, so when you say all assets are starting to go back up, right? I think, if you look at the Fortune 500, the S&P, whatever, and you look at total employment from those companies, it's not going up.
You're right.
It's
You're
going
right.
straight down.
And there's still wage stagnation, which has been perplexing central bankers, right?
And it shouldn't be perplexing.
We're back to kind of full employment of those that are actively searching for jobs, like
Right.
not the U6 number, the U3 number,
Right.
And but we haven't seen wage gains except for in a few skilled areas. We're seeing
Well,
some
yeah,
wage
at the
gains.
high end, we can't pay enough to get so. When
Right.
I talk about within the artificial intelligence realm,
Right.
there's a company in China paying $1 million bonuses
Yeah.
to get the best graduates. I mean,
Or best professors for that matter, right? They're
both,
pulling them out
yeah.
of schools.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
And so Vladimir Putin says the winner in AI controls the world.
Yeah.
China puts together a future plan saying, whoever dominates in AI, and they're subsidizing, Tencent, Alibaba, etc.
Yeah.
Right. And
That's right.
They
know it's a race.
It is a race. We cut our Office of Technology and Science to one person who was an assistant to Peter Thiel. That's where we stand. So when we talk about infrastructure jobs, robots are built in Germany and they're getting bought by Chinese companies in some respects, and I think some Japanese companies bought as well. We don't build robots here very well, right? I just invested in my first robotics company, Hirobotics, that puts robots into companies. They're in Kansas City, I think it is now. But they lease and rent and sell robots into all these different types of circumstances to replace people. Right? But I had to learn. I'm not saying it's a good thing or bad thing. It's going to happen with or without me, but I wanted to learn what was going on. Those building up a robotics industry here, investing in our AI industry here, That's the new infrastructure.
Yeah.
Because if we don't do it and China or Russia win those wars, we're SOL.
Right.
We're out of luck, right? And so when we talk about the price of assets going up, if you're hiring, if you're talking about intellectual assets, if you're hiring, like we were just saying, the price is skyrocketing. People are, Montreal has become the center of the universe for computer vision. It's not US-based schools that are dominating any longer in those areas. We've got a lot of smart kids in MIT, all different schools, right? And kids are starting to realize it's a place for them to go. And I'm out there telling people the first trillionaire is going to come from somebody who comes up with something really unique in AI.
But when I think about, so as I sit here and I don't have the knowledge you have about AI, I try to read everything I can, but I don't know it nearly as well as you.
Yeah, if you go into my bedroom, there's a stack of machine learning for dummies, neural networks for no lie, right?
I have a couple of those books.
I'm not too proud to read those
I
books.
started with Pedro Dominguez's book, and I can't even get all the way through it. So.
No, The Master Algorithm is a great book to start with.
Yeah. But as I sit here as someone who follows macroeconomics, and the calculus in what you're telling me today is you're going to see a lot more AI. You're going to see generative and general AI, which is kind of the holy grail, I think, is what everyone's after. It's many years off. But if we're going to see that, and we're going to see, what you're telling me is there's going to be massively increased productivity because of AI, and therefore robotics and things are going to be inserted into the global Fortune 1000. That does mean fewer jobs. And when I think about that from a mathematical perspective, increased productivity, increased AI, fewer jobs, we still have population growth. Me as the macroeconomist is thinking the answer there is not a good one. That means many more wards of the state.
Yeah, and that's the reality.
That's just reality.
Right.
Right? Larger opioid crisis, many more wards of the state.
Unless you recognize it's coming.
No, you're right. Right. It's a difficult plan.
It's difficult, right?
Yeah.
But it's a reality. And so, when I look at, like I just mentioned, right? So if you think of the Tennessee Valley Authority, that's where we are. Whether we like it or not, that's what's going to happen.
Okay.
But instead of creating make-good jobs to fix a pothole, because those are transient, and you can even make the argument that the increased traffic prior to that reduces.
I don't buy that argument, but I hear you.
There's always two different economists, right?
Yeah.
But the point being that if we're going to, when we had infrastructure projects that connected cities, right? That increased commerce significantly, and that led to our boom, right?
Yeah.
The baby boomer generation, right?
We did just win a war, though.
And that helped too, right? But all those together, right? When you connected Dallas to Athens, Texas, that opened the door for Athens, Texas, right? Yeah. If we just fix what's already connected, we're not going to see a boom. We're going to spend $1 trillion, regardless of who spends it, right? We're not going to get a boom. We'll get a pop, and it'll come right back down.
Right.
Because now you can drive your car faster. Maybe it's even an autonomous truck that goes back and forth. But it's still the same goods. The trucks are still the same size, et cetera, et cetera. If we invest in robotics and AI, that could be stair-step so that we could truly see a boom. The question is, how do you share that wealth, right? Now, historically, I'm a libertarian. The thought of sharing wealth was abhorrent to me, right? But everything's contextual, right? Because the cost of instability and the cost of social unrest is always a lot more expensive than the cost of social programs.
That's right.
And so if you're just looking at the variables and you're looking at it as a math equation, right? And you say riots, right?
Yeah.
Political instability because you have opioid crisis,
drug epidemics
expanding,
yeah,
or make good jobs.
Yeah.
Which would you rather have?
How do you make good jobs if you're taking all the jobs away?
Well, you make good as in TVA, where you're creating jobs.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Where if it's, it may be paying somebody, let's just say we define a working wage as $15 an hour, $30,000 a year, and I'm paying, a 62-year-old individual to walk a kid to school or to read to them when they get home.
You see it in Japan already. Right?
Yeah.
You see people shining escalators because they don't have much to do.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, there's no crime there. It's just like, life is a lot, well, I wouldn't say easier, but they have
They have
other
a declining
challenges.
population.
Yeah,
I wonder
have
if
other
I wonder if we have to go into a population decline to make it work.
Well,
And
there's
that's a much
evidence
bigger-
that says that we're starting to decline, and if we
Yeah.
don't have additional immigration, we're going to have bigger problems as well,
Yeah.
right? And so we're going to need people. Look, we're going to get to, in my opinion, we're going to get to a point where decisions are made individually on arbitrage of time, right? We'll value our time, you'll value your time. That's the whole Uber economy, right? Where people say, what's it worth? We do that now.
We do.
What's it worth for me versus I can hire somebody, right? And that somebody can be for 10 minutes, that somebody can be for 10 hours. It could be for 2 seconds. Like a couple of my companies, we have scripts now for Mechanical Turk on Amazon where it might cost us a penny to label things.
Really?
Oh, it's crazy, right? I invested in a company because the guy was a computer vision genius. All he does is hand puppets. So you do like this, hand puppets like you do with your kids when
Right.
you were little, right?
Right.
Only it digitizes it using AI because he has to write computer vision and AI scripts that say, okay, this is a knuckle, here's a second knuckle,
Right,
here's the
right.
thumb, right? And I'm going to recognize
Shows
things.
it spatially. Yeah.
Right, and all that stuff is advanced computer vision. But it all goes back to hiring people based off the value of their time. When I make decisions, build versus buy, robotics are now part of the decision. It's what's the most cost-effective way? What's going to give me the best return? What's going to be the path of least resistance for me effectively?
Yeah.
And now it's not just okay, who can I hire? It's
All right.
what can I hire? What can I